and welcome to another episode of Piper Has No Time Management Skills. I am your host, Piper Summer, and this video was supposed to come out during Pride Month. In September of 2020, I uploaded a video to my channel titled Sewing a Pride Flag Because I'm Gay. It now has over 6,000 views and 56 comments, making it one of the most popular videos on my YouTube channel. 3 months ago, I received a comment from Sophie Love that said, "Can you make the pansexual flag next? 'Cause I'm pan." The answer to that, Sophie, is, well, yes, of course. In the original video, I made the 6-stripe rainbow flag to hang in my room, and today I'm going to be making 4 more smaller flags. I will be making a 5-stripe flag, a 4-stripe flag, a 3-stripe flag, and a 3-stripe variant flag. Those flags being the transgender flag, the non-binary flag, the pansexual flag, and the bisexual flag, which is also 3 stripes, but it has a different ratio. The middle stripe is a little bit skinnier. So without further ado, let's go make some blueprints and figure out how to make these flags. Okay, so I am in my sewing sketchbook here, and I have got all 4 of the flags laid out so that we can do some math on how much fabric we need for each stripe. So all of these flags have stripes that are the same size, they're just divided differently, except for this is the bisexual flag, and in this flag's design, the center stripe is smaller. So for this, we're just gonna use a ratio of 2:1:2 to figure out these stripes. The rest of them are fairly simple. The first thing you will need to do is figure out how big you want your flags to be. A standard ratio for flag size is 3:5, with the shorter end being the 3 and then the longer end being the 5. So I use that ratio to figure out that I wanted my flags to be 12 inches across and 20 inches long. So using that, we are going to simply divide this 12 into the number of stripes that we have to figure out the dimensions, and then they can all stay around 20 inches long. So this is the non-binary flag, and this flag has 4 stripes. So if you want to make a flag with 4 stripes, you're going to take 12 and divide it by 4, which will be 3 inches. So each of these stripes will be 3 inches by 20 inches. And this is without seam allowance. We're gonna add that later. The transgender flag has 5 stripes. So each of these stripes will be 2.4 inches by 20 inches. And I believe I did round some of these measurements when I first figured them out. The next flag is the pansexual flag with 3 stripes, and so each of these will be 4 inches by 20 inches. And then with the bisexual flag, it also has 3 stripes, but the ratio is different. So the first step would be to total the parts you have. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So there's 5 parts in this flag. So then you want to divide that 5 by the 12, which will get you the 2.4 over here. And then you want to put that 2.4 into the ratio. So you want to times 2.4 by 2, which will get you 4.8. So then it will be 4.8 by 2.4 by 4.8. Okay, so with the ratio, you will want 2 stripes, this blue one and the magenta-y pink one. 2 of the stripes will be 4.8 by 20 inches, and then the one in the middle will be 2.4 by 20 inches. However, all of these are without seam allowance, so you can see underneath each of these, I added 2 inches to each of these measurements to get the final dimensions for the stripes. And I added 2 inches because I'm going to be doing French seams, and French seams are just easier for me to do with 1 inch and then 1 inch. So I added 2 inches to each of these. And so with the 2 inches, because I do my French seams 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch, so it would be 1 inch to do it on one side of the stripe and then another inch to do it on the other side of the stripe. And then you would have 1 inch left over for the sides when you sew it to the back, and then 1 inch up top and 1 inch on bottom. So that is why I added 2 inches to everything. So for the 4 stripe, the final measurement was 5 inches by 22 inches. And then 4.4, 6 inches, and then 6.8 and 4.4. And since fabric quarters are 22 inches long and 18 inches wide, I will be able to just buy 1 fabric quarter for each of these colors and then use that to get all of my stripes. So that's how you figure out how much fabric you need for your flag. I will be making these flags in the same way that I made my rainbow one, meaning that I will only make the flag stripes be one side and then put a backing on it like it's a quilt. These flags that I'm making are more so to be hung as a wall decoration and not flown on a flagpole. So that's the reason that I put the backing on the other side, is to just save time and make it easier. But it would be fairly simple to do stripes on both sides. You just have to make sure that you put the stripes together in opposite orders so that when you sew them together, they will be the same order on both sides, if that makes sense. You'd have to sew them in the reverse order so that, for instance, if it was the rainbow flag, the red would go all the way through and it wouldn't be like red on one side and then purple on the other. So the stripes would be facing the same way. That's what I mean to say. So after I figured out how much fabric I needed, I went to my local fabric store and I picked up all of the fabric quarters, and I just bought 1 of each for every color that I needed in all of the flags. So if you make a flag this size, you don't need that much fabric at all. So once I had the fabric quarters, I pre-washed all of them, and then I cut out the stripes as per my measurement. Because I pre-washed them, some of the fabric shrunk, so they weren't exactly the 22 inches that I was looking for, but I just cut the width however long the fabric quarter was and put them together that way. And once I had my stripes laid out in their orders, I was able to sew them together, and I used French seams for my flags. And after I had all of the stripes put together, I then laid them onto the backing fabric and just cut around the fabric so that I would have the backing for it. So once I had the backing cut out, I took the scraps and I made little rectangular pieces that were the widths of all the flags, and I sewed those together and flipped them inside out. And these are little plackets, I guess you could call them. They are what I'm going to put the eyelets in so that you can hang it on a wall. Then once I had all those, it was time to sew the flag completely together. So in order to do this, I laid the stripes on the backing, and then I put that little placket on the top of the flag in between. So you want right sides facing each other, and then I put the placket in between, and you want the right side of the placket facing out. And once I had all those 3 layers together, then I sewed around. I sewed on all 4 sides, but on the bottom edge, I left a bit of it open so that I could flip the flag inside out, or right side out. And then once I had the flag right side out, I was able to iron it, get all of the edges evenly pressed. I just kind of like would stretch open the fabric until it reached the seam and then iron it out. And I did this on all 4 sides. And then there's that extra area that you didn't sew so that you could flip it right side out. I folded all of those in to match the rest of the edge, and then I ironed that flat. And then I went around and I top stitched all of the flags with a rainbow thread on the top and then just a black thread for the bobbin. And then I did a top stitch around each of the flags, and I had the striped side facing up when I put it through the machine so that the rainbow thread would be on the striped side and the black would be just on the backing, since both of my backing fabrics were black. And I went around, and with that top stitching, that just holds the hole in the fabric in place, so you don't even need to pre-stitch that closed. And once I did that, the only step left was to hammer in the eyelets so that you could hang them on the walls. So the first thing you want to do to put your eyelets in the fabric is to obtain some eyelets. This is just a package of them that I got at my local fabric store, and it comes with everything you need to put them into your flags, except for a hammer. You will need a hammer to do this. And once you have them, you just take one piece of an eyelet and trace around the inside of it to mark out the placement of your hole and how big it needs to be. And I used a fabric scissors to cut out the holes for this. However, if you have a hole punch that is the appropriate size for the eyelet to fit through, I recommend using that because it is going to be a lot easier to fit the eyelet through a circular hole rather than just the like straight lines that I cut into a bunch of times with the fabric scissors. It ended up being fine, but I used a hole punch when I made my rainbow flag, and it was a lot easier, so if you have one of those, I definitely recommend using it. And in the eyelet kits, there will be 2 sides to your eyelet. The front side has a longer back to it, so that's how you know which one to go in the front. So you want to put that through there, and then you want to put the eyelet on this rubber thing that just is there to protect your work surface. And then you take the back side and put it over that. And the front side should poke through a little bit, the back side. And then you want to take this metal anvil and put it on there. And then you get your hammer, and then you just hammer on that anvil. And what that does is it takes the part that was poking through the back and it bends it down over it, so the 2 sides of the eyelet are now stuck together. And I did this a total of 8 times, so there are 2 eyelets on every flag. And in the end, it looks like this. So there you go, you have some eyelets to hang your flags on the walls. Alright you guys, I have finally finished making these pride flags, and I'm going to show them all to you now. So first we have the transgender flag. Now she ended up being a little bit smaller than the others, and I think that was just because of how small I had to make the stripes. So she is very tiny, but here she is, the transgender flag. And next we have the bisexual flag with the blue, purple, and magenta. Now, because of the colors that they had in the fabric store, some of the colors are more pastel than they are in the official flag versions. Like this purple in the bisexual flag is definitely not this color, but it is the color that I had available to me. So here's the bisexual flag. And then next we have the pansexual flag, and this is another one of the flags that ended up being more pastel than it is in the original colorings. But since all of these are pastel, I think it works a little bit better than the bisexual flag. So there's that one. And then the last one is the non-binary flag. So here we have that again. The purple is way more pastel than in the original, but I think it still looks nice. So here are all of my flags, and you can see on the back, some of them have this heart pattern, and then some of them have this star pattern. And as much fun as it was to make all of these flags, I have no intention of keeping them for myself, so instead I have decided to do a giveaway. Now, because I am a smaller channel and because of giveaway laws, the entries for the giveaway are only open to those 18 years of older and who are living in the United States, the 50 United States, and the District of Columbia. Anyone outside of that is not allowed to enter, and for that I apologize. That is just what is available to me at this moment. But for a full list of the giveaway rules and the entry form, go to the first link in the description below. The entries for the giveaway will be open 1 week, for 1 full week after the uploading of this video. So if you are interested in being sent one of these flags to hang in your own room or your house somewhere, enter that giveaway, and I will be selecting the winners by a random drawing in 1 week from the date that this video is uploaded. And aside from that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and if you end up sewing your own pride flags, feel free to tag me on Instagram. I would love to check them out. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye!